have something a little special to show you guys. This is a children's book, or just something I illustrated when I was 10 years old. Oh, and I guess we're also going to be recreating some, if not all, of the art from this book, so I'm super excited. That's right, we are going to be recreating the art in the book I wrote and illustrated as a 10-year-old, The Selfish Girl. So in the 4th grade, we had the most exciting project I've ever had in school. We had a company come in and they made a hardcover book of something we made. So let's just dive right in, shall we? So we have the title, The Selfish Girl. In true 90s fashion, we just have a picture frame of a smiley face, because why not? And then, yes, this is me as a 10-year-old. I don't even know what to say. I mean, the hair, the overalls. Not much has changed in the past 20 years. Well, not much except for my art style, thankfully. I mean, this is definitely an anime-inspired style, and I always thought it was hilarious how she just looks so bald. Our first page is the title page. We have The Selfish Girl by Casey Golden. And can we just appreciate how 20 years has passed and my handwriting is still almost exactly the same. All right, so turning the page, page 1. Okay, so I'm definitely not going to read the entirety of the book to you, so if you do want to read the book, pause it, but I will give you like a quick synopsis of each page. It says, once in a state far, far away from here called Kansas lived a girl named Amy. So I used to live in Tennessee, it's where I grew up. But I was born in Kansas, and I lived there for the first 2 years of my life. So obviously, this is a very self-insert character. I mean, how obvious can it be? She realizes that Christmas is just around the corner, so she works on her Christmas list. And this is the drawing. We've got Pokemon cards, Kelly clothes, which was misspelled, yo-yo, purple. I mean, this... Wow, can we talk about character development? I hate purple now. Wow, a phone. We didn't have smartphone, I'll tell you that much. A flower power lamp. I mean, the 90s, it just screams the 90s. A puppy, a kitten, a kite, a kitten, and a kitten. I think you can see where this story is going. I think this character really wants a kitten for Christmas. Okay, let's turn the page. Alright, so next up we have a dream sequence. Ooh. So it looks like our character is dreaming up of a lot of the things that she put on her Christmas list. Mostly the kitten, it's the biggest part. It's just a head with a tail. That's fine. She's going to bed on Christmas Eve and somehow doesn't even realize it's Christmas Eve. Am I roasting a 10-year-old who wrote this story? Yes, I am. Let's move on to the next page. Okay, so our character runs down very excited that it is Christmas Day. So then she names her cat Fluffy, which is such an original name. Says the butthole who has a cat named Mr. Kitty. The butthole is me. So not much to see here. We have a scene with our little girl holding her new kitten with the Christmas tree in the background and some presents, and that's that. Let's move on to our next page. Okay, so what do we have here? So in this page, we have a present that is marked to Stacy, marked out to Amy. So in the text, it says our character saw that this was a dog in the box. The mom told her, don't open it, it's not your present. But the girl continues to mark out the name and put hers, which automatically means it's her present. And if we can zoom in down here, we see evidence of the marker that she marked the name out with. I just can't get over the fact that the parents were okay with having this puppy in a box for what is probably 12 or more hours before they go over to, I can only assume, their cousin's house or something. So there's this puppy in a box that they're just gonna leave there all day. Not only that, but can we talk about how the girl grabbed a knife and cut a big slit in the middle of the present? That dog is dead. There it is. Let's move on to the next page. All right, a short and sweet one. Again, really taking into consideration the whole page. And the mom says, well, it was your cousin's, but next time this won't happen. It's been a while since I've read this book because I'm not just going to read this book every year. But I saw the name Stacy on the present, and I do have a cousin named Stacy, so I just assumed that's where I got that genius idea from. And sure enough, it was my cousin, or not my cousin, Amy's cousin. All right, moving on to page 11. Oh no, Tear going to fight. I did it in writing, which is fine because I put it down, that's already done. But the fact that an adult, I guess, didn't proofread these and they just left it as, I mean, it's kind of funny. So Amy gets this new cat and dog pet, and instead of playing with these animals herself, she leaves them in a room together and tells them not to fight and that they should go play together. But she's not going to play with them herself? Then why did you want a cat and a dog? Where does the story go from there? Let's find out. Oh no! The cat and dog met at 4 o'clock sharp on the couch, and they felt like doing something bad for a change because they were always perfect. And then when someone comes home, they say, look at this mess, they're going to get it. Animal abuse. All right, turning the page. Oh, that is beautiful. Wow, that's beautiful. That's art. And her mom says, well, that's what you get for having 2 pets that you had to have. Wow, that mom is brutal. So the kid agrees with the mom, yes, I was being selfish, and apologizes, and the family hugs and makes up. Wow, what a story. On the final page, we have a beautiful family portrait of Brownie, the mom, Amy, Dad, and Fuzzy. Later that day, they got a picture taken of the whole family so they could remember New Year's Eve 2001. Wow. You guys, that story. I don't even know if I can make a children's book because, like, this is my peak. I can't top that. So now that we have flipped through this amazing story of the selfish girl, I think it's time to recreate some of these illustrations in my current adult style. The first drawing I thought would be really fun to recreate in, like I said, my adult style was the dream sequence. As someone with a little more illustration experience under their belt, I feel like this scene in particular could really be taken in a different way. Though which direction I took it, I still wasn't sure of yet, so I did a little bit of sketching. Did I want our character to be sleeping in the bed and have a classic pillow of dreams above her head? Or did I want to take a more abstract approach where her hair was turning into the puff of cloud of dreams and everything could be entangled in her hair? It was a really interesting idea, but what I ended up going with was sort of embracing the original whiteness and just overall open space about the original illustrations layout. We have our little girl sleeping in the middle of the page, and surrounding her is the dream bubble sequence. Cloud bubble? Whatever. Something I love to do in my illustrations is frame the characters or the scenes in different ways than just having it a square where you fill in the page. It's really fun to set aside different shapes like squares and have different objects like trees break out of those frames. So I framed our character with the cloud of the dream sequence and surrounded that white space with the different objects that my 10-year-old self had put to the original drawing. Now, not all of the original objects made it into this new illustration. Apparently, 10-year-old me used to draw very small, which made for a lot of white space in illustrations, but me today, despite creating a challenge called the Teeny Weeny Challenge, I have a problem where I draw too big for the page and then end up filling up the space more than I'd like to. So some of the other objects didn't quite make it in, like a doll and a car, because who wants to draw a car? Another change I made was that I made the yo-yo purple because in her wish list it said she wanted a purple yo-yo, yet in my illustration as a child I drew a blue and a yellow yo-yo. I also added in some candy canes just to make sure her dream was nice and sweet, and also to keep it themed to Christmas because I'm sure she is dreaming of Christmas. And I do have to apologize, I completely forgot that this was a Christmas themed story. Thankfully it's not too heavily Christmas story oriented, but had I remembered that I would have definitely made this video last month, but that's fine. So just to exaggerate the whiteness of the clouds around her, I painted the space around the girl very dark. Hopefully this really helps push the fact that it's nighttime and she's dreaming. I think my favorite detail of this illustration is the cat reaching out of the dream and touching her hand as she sleeps. I just thought that was a very cute and mysterious detail to add, and I really like it. And that is it for our first redraw. The second drawing we are going to be recreating is the scene where our little girl, what was her name? Amy? Wakes up on Christmas morning and is delighted to find that there is indeed a kitten under the Christmas tree, so she scoops it up and cuddles it. And I really enjoyed this scene. I think 10-year-old me had a good idea here, but I just feel like the execution obviously could have been a lot better. Now I know I roast my 10-year-old self's drawings in this video constantly, and in no way am I roasting anybody who's a beginner artist. We all start somewhere. Self-deprecating is just what I do. And also, you have to admit, sometimes bad drawings are really funny. I mean, I still make some very hilariously horrible drawings today. That said, the one thing that was really missing from this scene, as cute as it was motion. I feel like her pose was just very stiff, and although I do think as a 10-year-old I was just drawing her standing there, there is a slight curve to her body that, to me, looks like it could almost suggest that maybe she was spinning around and just full of motion and excitement to be cuddling and holding a kitten. I definitely wanted to make sure there was a lot of energy in this scene, so I tried to get a nice pose of our girl spinning around with the kitten, and although I was sort of struggling with it, I think I ended up with something pretty cute. I also wanted to add some extra emotion in this scene. Something I noticed with my art, which I think is really funny even today, is that if you look at the original 10-year-old drawing, I seem to use a lot of the same anime-inspired face. The upside down U eyes and the open capital D mouth. Very classic anime face. Well, at least classic 90s anime. Boy, have things changed. It's just about every face that I put into this book, which is really funny because I tend to do that a lot as an adult. I do have a lot of basic default faces that I put on my characters, and honestly, I probably did that on this little girl in the past 2 drawings. She does look happy in the original drawing, but like I said, I wanted to add extra emotion, so she is just absolutely happy. She's brought to tears. She's spinning around with this kitten. And overall, I just think there's a little bit more energy in this scene, and I really like the way it came out. As far as the background goes, I did my classic cropping just a little bit in the background so that the focus was on our character. I didn't want the background to be too busy. I did make it a little dark, so she does kind of blend into the background, but I do really like the way the Christmas tree breaks that border in the back. And it also still kind of resembles my original drawing. Even though there is a lot of white space in the original, it is halfway in the background. It isn't too distracting from the character. And just because the only yellow in the illustration was on the star on the tree, I did add some yellow to a present, and I think that kind of brings everything together. And I'm really happy with the way this redraw turns out. It's just very cute and full of emotion. On to the next. Our third and final redraw is the scene where the cat and the dog have teamed up together to destroy the couch because they are sick of being such perfect pets. I chose this scene because it was another fully illustrated background, and also I have drawn the cat in every illustration, but I have yet to draw the dog. So I really just wanted to draw a dog. I thought it would be really fun to just mess up that couch and make it nice and dirty. So that is what I did. This scene was pretty easy to replicate as far as sketching goes. Everything was pretty much laid out in a really nice way. Thank you, 10-year-old me. You did good this time. I think the biggest changes I wanted to make to this illustration was just make it dirtier, make it rougher, and of course, the biggest change was the side table next to this couch was just, I don't know from what era I thought that side table came from, but I cannot imagine anybody having that side table, and it had to go. I also realized while looking up references for couches, because I did want to draw this couch right, the style of couches has very much changed in the past couple of decades, but I did want to keep that old couch design just so that it reflected the old drawing, and I have been talking this whole time about couches. So overall, it was just really fun to mess up this couch. I added a couple of things like a pile of cat vomit on the top of the couch, and also a nice pile of dog poo in the foreground on the carpet. Just some extra little stinky details to make sure this scene was nice and disgusting. I wanted to make sure those animals were doing their worst. I also wanted to add just a couple of stains to the couch, but it ended up turning into such dark, intense stains. Like, I don't even want to imagine what these pets did to this couch. It is so disgusting, and I think it just really exaggerates the scene and how bad these animals decided to get. Anytime I get to use my blood splatter technique, which is what I did with the dirt stains on the couch, I'm happy. I think my favorite part about this illustration is just how proud that cat looks. The dog looks happy, he's cute, but that cat, he is so proud of what he's done. And in case you were wondering why I didn't draw a kitten and a puppy, in the previous page it did say that days had passed, and considering these pets are sick of being the perfect pets, I assume that you can't be sick of being perfect if you're only a month old, so I'm assuming that these pets are maybe a year old, maybe a year has passed and I didn't mention it. Heck, even 10 years could have passed, who knows? I'm going to assume they are well into their adulthood because these pets probably have been taught not to do these things, so they know the difference between right and wrong. What made them suddenly so sick of being perfectly behaved, I have no idea. There is no logic in my 10-year-old mind. And that's it. There are my finished and recreated illustrations from The Selfish Girl by 10-year-old me. I had so much fun looking back at this old art and sharing with you guys my project as a child. Pretty cute. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Stay golden. But before I go, I want to give a huge thank you to all of my patrons. You guys are seriously amazing. Do you want early access to my videos, secret sketches, and coloring pages? Become a patron by checking out the link in the description. Thank you guys all seriously so much. Bye!